Africa faces a daunting economic equation with unprecedented financial needs, increasingly difficult debt to support, and access to international markets that is both restricted and costly. Ongoing reforms to the global financial architecture, whether by the World Bank, the IMF, or the African Development Bank, offer promising avenues. But their scope remains far short of the continent's needs in a context where Africa needs approximately $130 to $170 billion per year to meet its infrastructure needs alone.
Et il était aussi impératif que l'Afrique
It is also imperative that Africa develop its financial sovereignty in terms of mobilizing domestic resources, but also by creating favorable conditions to attract foreign direct investment to build resilient infrastructures.
pour construire des infrastructures résilientes.
According to the latest joint data from the IMF and the World Bank, 9 low-income African countries are already in debt distress, and 26 others are at high risk. In addition to the burden of debt servicing, the continent's states are also suffering from rising global interest rates. After a tentative recovery with $13 billion in bond issues in 2024, the financing window closed again in 2025 due to high U.S. interest rates and investors' reluctance.
Aujourd'hui, il s'agit
Today, it is no longer about managing development, but rather accelerating it. This is why I believe it is imperative to restructure Africa's financial framework, developing greater synergies between the African Development Bank and other African financial institutions, as well as with all stakeholders involved in financing and developing involved in financing and development on the continent.
développement qui interviennent sur le continent africain.
According to the outgoing president of the African Development Bank, Akinwumi Adesina, the current international financial architecture provides uneven fiscal responses to developing countries during times of global shocks. According to the former FDB president, while fiscal measures taken to combat the COVID-19 pandemic amounted to $17 trillion or 19% of global GDP, Africa received only $89 billion or 0.5% of the global value.
Les décisions que nous prendrons dans les années à venir
The decisions we make in the coming year will be decisive for the African's future, especially in the light of its demographic evolution.
importantes.
Moreover, experts believe that reforming the global financial architecture for the benefit of Africa would provide access to financing at a sustainable cost to the continent, debt management and sustainability, a reallocation of global financial resources, and mobilization of the private sector, as well as new instruments. This reform, according to the African Development Bank, should strengthen the role and capacity of multilateral development banks and thus enable the continent to secure several hundred billion US dollars per year and meet its needs estimated at $1,600 billion by 2030, according to the African Development Bank and the African Union.